Hello, Exiles. This is Ryan from Behind Eyes Gaming, and Path of Exile 2 starts tomorrow, or the open beta does at least, and I will be playing the Invoker, the Monk Ascendancy. I have some loose plans for it, not exactly sure how it's going to go, but I kind of theory crafted an idea for a build, and that is going to be what I start off with. We don't have a lot of concrete information yet, but I do think it's good to go in with a little bit of a plan. So I put together kind of my planned skills that I'm probably going to use, with a little bit of leeway for things that I can add for utility, or just when I decide something feels or seems good, and what my ascendancy path is going to be. So the overall build concept for this build is going to be a shock and freeze weapon swap monk. So I'm going to be primarily an attacker with my main weapon, a quarterstaff, doing cold damage and freezing, and then I will weapon swap specifically using the meta gem cast on freeze when I freeze to unleash ball lightning in order to attempt to shock the enemies, and then I will swap back and do the attacks. I don't know if this is going to be more efficient than just manually doing it. It depends how quickly I can refreeze things. I don't know if there's going to be like diminishing returns on further freezes after the first one, or how hard it's going to be to freeze bosses. All of this is unknown. I might end up retooling this entirely, but the main concept is I kind of have a freeze utility slash defensive skill, which is Wave of Frost, which I will connect with Glaciation, Deep Freeze, and Hypothermia, which I think will all be good links for it. And then for my main attacking skill, I'm just going to use Ice Strike. Part of the reason I'm doing this is because it's a fast attack, and I do want to be building up combo as well for my kind of finishing move, Flicker Strike, which I'll be linking with Combo Finisher, which requires combo to be built up. So the idea is I will use a combination of Ice Strike and some sort of power charge generation, whether that be Siphoning Strike, Lingering Illusion, Killing Palm, or possibly a combination or two of three of these things. An Ice Strike I'm just going to put damage on. It's going to be my main clearing skill. Added cold damage, biting cold, empowered damage, whatever other damaging supports I end up getting. So Ice Strike will be my primary damage dealer. It'll probably inflict a little bit of freezing progress, but primarily I'll just occasionally, when I need to freeze things, hit Wave of Frost, which causes hits freezes, though dealing 350% more damage. So it should be quite good as far as inflicting freezes, I would think. And we build that up. Once we get the combo built up using Ice Strike and some power charges, I can unleash Flicker Strike, which has teleports and strikes 3 additional times per power charge. I haven't seen any max power charge stuff, so this just might mean a total of 10 strikes, but the base attack damage is 354%. And you also get 285% more attack speed. I'm not really sure why they had a base attack speed of 50% and then the additional. Maybe it's just because there's like a default version where when you attack without power charges, it attacks for 50% of base attack speed. And then if you expend power charges, you get all of the extra attack speed. Not entirely sure. But yeah, this is kind of the big finisher, so I have some big damage things on it. I have Combo Finisher, Close Combat, which I might also just put Close Combat on Ice Strike. I don't know. You can only use one of each support skill, so you have to kind of think about where you want to be putting these. And I'm actually using Brutality because I think my intention is to try to go purely physical on my weapon. So for this skill, it's just gonna, since there's no damage conversion with Flicker Strike, I can just get a big hit that way. The downside is if I do end up, really benefiting from exposure and that kind of thing, if that ends up being more damage, then I might get rid of this and see if there's some way to convert this to cold damage. I'm not really sure if that's going to be the case, but yeah. So as far as power charge gaining, there's a couple of different ways. We can basically expend our shocks on the enemies with Siphoning Strike to gain a power charge. It also releases a shockwave, which does damage, I'm assuming. So that is one way. However, I would want to make sure that I got as much damage off as possible before doing that. So maybe kind of like as a combo link type thing. Lingering Illusion seems like possibly the best way. It seems like it has reservation. So I'm assuming every time you dodge roll, it just automatically creates a little illusion of you, and if it dies, like if you dodge out of the way of a slam and it makes an illusion right away, the slam will kill the illusion and you'll get a power charge, is what I'm thinking Lingering Illusion will work like. So that is, and they have 20% of your max life, so assuming slams are particularly dangerous, and particularly since I will be probably going a hybrid ES evasion life build, more than likely, I think this will be really nice for generating power charges, possibly the best means of doing so. And then there's Killing Palm, which is culling. I'm probably going to be using this regardless, so I might just use these two in combination because I do see a big downside to Siphoning Strike. So that is going to kind of be my plan skill-wise. Ascendancy-wise, I think from what I understand, you get 20 spirit per act, so we're going to have 120 spirit by endgame. I currently have 130 planned and will probably add more as it becomes available. So I am going to probably take Lead Me Through Grace, specifically because I want Protect Me from Harm. So I'm not going to go over everything. I'm just going to go over the ones that I plan on taking. But 1 spirit per 6 energy shield and 1 spirit per 15 evasion rating from body armor. And can't gain spirit from equipment. This implies maybe, like, I know you can get a spirit from scepters, for instance, so maybe they're just doing this, and I think that's an implicit on scepters. So maybe they're doing this so you can't just, like, stack an insane amount of spirit to do things, like maybe a monk minion build, but possibly that means you can roll spirit as, like, a prefix or suffix on gear, too. I'm not really sure. But regardless, it should be quite easy to get at least 10 spirit, and obviously that's a fairly low amount between the two, even assuming conservative numbers for this. Protect Me from Harm. Evasion rating also grants physical damage reduction. One of the biggest weaknesses that in Path of Exile 1 I dealt with by just layering on a bunch of less damage taken sources, such as, Fortify or all sorts of different things, as much as I could get, really. So I like this. It does give you 40% less evasion rating. We'll have to see how high evasion rating goes and how elemental damage scales versus physical damage. Because if your resistances are enough to just tank through the occasional elemental attack that gets through, then this should be fine, because you'll still be evading, even if you're evading like 50-60% of total attacks with the less evasion rating. I think that's okay. I don't know if staffs still have block implicits. I haven't really looked into that, but if that's the case, then we can also stack a little block to kind of synergize with the evasion and help overall defensively with this. As far as offenses go, I have a couple that I'm looking at. So obviously, if I take that, I'll only get 2 more points. The interesting things here are I am the Blizzard, I am the Thunder, and Sunder my enemies. I think are all very interesting. Unbound Avatar might be good too, assuming it's as much damage as it is in PoE 1, because I think it's 80% more. I doubt it'll be that much more, but and I think Elemental Expression's kind of neat as well. So I don't know how easy it will be to go crit as a melee staff user. I don't know what like the base crit of staff's going to look like, what the what kind of rolls you can get to buff up your staff's base crit, and how much crit will be available on the tree. There are a lot of unknowns. I haven't seen anything like precision, which gave extra crit chance as well. So that all is a big unknown. So Sunder My Enemies might not be that great. However, it would, and it also, if I go for physical Flicker Stripe, it doesn't really help with that. However, overall, neither of these would help in that case either. However, I think they're just 10% more damage. I have a theory, which is that the gain X of extra cold damage, these all scale additively now. Like they'll be combined together and instead of stacking on top of each other, because I don't believe damage conversion is going to work the same way. And my thought process for this is because I heard in one of the interviews that things no longer scale off what their original base damage was. So for instance, if you convert 80% of your damage from physical to cold, and you put something that scales, if you take like a node that gives you 30% physical damage, let's say, it will only scale that 20% instead of scaling the whole thing and then adding on the cold damage. So that makes me think that these gain percent extra are going to be additive with each other, and there's not really an order of operations. It just takes whatever your hit would be pre-hit, and it takes any sources of gain percent extra damage, even different types like cold, lightning, chaos, whatever it might be, and just lumps them all together at the end instead of them having an order that they get added on top, kind of multiplying with each other. So I think maybe taking one or the other, because 10% damage for an Ascendancy is already not super thrilling. However, the 10% extra as lightning creating shocked ground gives me a lot of interesting potential, I guess. So I'm thinking I Am the Thunder is probably going to be my most likely take. I could just take both of them, but once again, if it works like I think it does, then they'll have diminishing returns. I don't know that Chilled Ground would necessarily be that great when I'm already going to be probably chilling a lot just by attacking with cold skills. So I'm thinking maybe that's kind of useless. So I'm leaning towards I Am the Thunder and possibly Sunder My Enemies, or possibly Unbound. And I'm not going to take Meditate because I don't want to sit there and channel. The things I can think of is if there's like really slow, heavily telegraphed attacks in the end game and we can respec into this, then I can like hear an audio cue, start channeling, get double my energy shield, and basically be able to face tank it. But that's, you know, just theoretical. I don't know how quickly this is going to be because it doesn't really say how long it takes to charge. So yeah, but that is my plan. I will do an update when I've played the game a little bit, so probably not tomorrow, but the day after, more than likely. We'll see. Hope you enjoy the launch of the PoE beta if you're playing. If not, follow along, and I'll try to get things as figured out as I can. I'm going to attempt to play as many Ascendancies as I can in quick order, so I'll run through to the end game, get kind of a good idea, and move on to the next one, because I do want to get an idea of all the different play styles available. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. This has been Ryan from Behind Eyes Gaming, and I'll see you next time. Bye!